Hello and welcome to Unacademy, a one-stop destination for the English medium civil services aspirants. A very good morning to all of you and welcome to the daily Hindu news analysis. So let's begin our discussion by first looking at the topics for today's discussion. But before that, we have a very important announcement. Starting today, we have begun a brand new series on the Unacademy app. We have started with NCERT fundamentals, starting with Indian economy. These classes are absolutely free on the Unacademy app and it will be held every day, Monday to Saturday, from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. We will be covering the NCERT textbooks from class 6 to class 12 and we will be covering subjects such as Indian economy, history, geography, science, etc. So do catch these sessions live. If not live, you can always watch it recorded later. So let's begin with the discussion by looking at the topics. From the Delhi edition of the Hindu, I have chosen 7 important articles for today's discussion. If you look at today's newspaper, we have a couple of important editorials as well, but I'm not taking them up for discussion because we have recently covered those topics. I don't want to repeat the same discussion again. You can go back and watch those videos. There is one editorial on India-UAE relations, since Prime Minister Modi recently visited the UAE, and we also have an editorial on the free movement regime, which India has recently revoked along the Myanmar border. So both these topics have been recently discussed in detail in our Hindu analysis. You can go back and watch those videos and read today's editorials. So there are many other important articles in today's newspaper. These are the 7 articles. So there are 3 that require a detailed discussion, both from a prelims and mains point of view. And we have 4 smaller articles that are relevant for prelims. So let's undertake a detailed discussion and analysis of the newspaper so that you don't have to go back and read the newspaper again. So if you're liking the initiatives, do support us with your likes, your comments, share these videos with other aspirants, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. So let's begin with today's discussion by looking at this important column from page number 8. The column deals with the IPCC, Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. And this particular international body is very important with regard to environment and ecology. The article is focusing on the role, the functions of IPCC, its assessment reports that are brought out periodically, and what is the importance of these assessment reports with regard to climate change. So that is what we get to understand from this particular column. So let's take a detailed look at this topic. I will be going beyond the article to help you understand what is IPCC, what does it do, and then we'll focus on its assessment reports and its importance. The IPCC stands for Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. So as the name itself tells you, it's an intergovernmental body functioning under the United Nations, and it focuses on climate research. It was established in the year 1988 and it has been playing a pivotal role in developing the science related to climate change and global warming. Whatever understanding we have of climate change and global warming, its impact on the economy, on the future, on societies, it largely comes from the research and the data and the reports brought out by this UN body, the IPCC. It is involved in developing the science behind climate change. It helps us understand the rate at which emissions are being released, the rate at which we are curbing emissions. It also suggests many ways and measures that we can implement to adapt and mitigate with regard to the impact of climate change. So the role of this UN body is absolutely critical when it comes to climate action efforts. So this organization was established in the year 1988 by the World Meteorological Organization along with the UN Environment Program. So this is a very important point for your prelims. Such facts can be asked as a prelims question. It was established by the WMO along with the UN Environment Program. So these two organizations established the IPCC and it has a secretariat which is headquartered at Geneva in Switzerland. That is where the WMO is also headquartered. So over the last 3 decades, IPCC has been playing a very, very important role in providing the required inputs and scientific assessment for the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change, or also called as the Climate Change Convention. So every year since 1992, the Conference of Parties is held as an annual summit of the Climate Change Convention. Recently, the 2023 COP summit, COP28, was held at Dubai in UAE, right? So all these Conference of Parties which are undertaken under the Climate Change Convention, they rely on the scientific findings, reports and assessments brought out by the IPCC. In fact, all the member countries contribute to the efforts of IPCC. But however, please note that IPCC is not a scientific organization of its own. It doesn't conduct its own research. It brings climate scientists and researchers from around the world together to form a bureau. This bureau is constituted every few years, and it brings scientific evidence from around the world, collates them into reports and assessments. So IPCC does not conduct any research of its own. However, it brings existing research and data by bringing scientists, experts from around the world together, and they carry out assessments and bring out reports which forms the scientific basis for our understanding of climate change. So this is the important role played by this intergovernmental body of the United Nations. Now, what are these assessment reports? Let's understand how many such assessment reports have been brought out by IPCC, what is the significance of these reports, and how important is it with regard to climate action. Till date, there have been 6 assessment cycles which have been completed by the IPCC. Recently, for example, in the 2021-2022 period, during this period, the 6th assessment cycle was completed and AR6 reports, or assessment report number 6, was published. This report actually includes a number of different reports under it. There were 3 reports brought out by the main working groups that deal with rising temperatures, rising emission rate, how it can be contained, etc. It also brings out a synthesis report, a specific report on certain issues. So a whole set of data and reports are brought out under each assessment cycle of the IPCC. And each assessment cycle will take anywhere between 6 to 8 years to complete. It requires a lot of collaborative effort from researchers around the world who are part of IPCC Bureau, right? They're nominated by the respective countries. All 195 UN members are party to IPCC. So they nominate their researchers, scientists, experts onto this bureau, and it takes a good 6 to 8 years of effort to collate all the data, to bring out the assessments and to publish these reports. So till date, IPCC has completed 6 assessment cycles since 1988. And these documents are pivotal for our understanding of climate change and its impact on the environment. It helps us understand the science behind climate change, the consequences, the future consequences of rising temperatures and how it disrupts the environmental processes. It helps us come out with adaptation and mitigation measures. Based on this scientific data, we can design adaptation measures to prepare our communities for the future. We can focus on mitigating climate change to reduce emissions, to switch to cleaner forms of energy, right, to alter our agricultural and industrial processes. In fact, these documents, these reports are conclusive proof, conclusive evidence that we humans have significantly contributed to acceleration of climate change. Climate change and global warming occurs naturally as well. But the anthropogenic impact, the human-induced impact, is conclusively established by these reports. Human agricultural activity, industrial activities, our burning of fossil fuels, right? How they have contributed to the acceleration in climate change and global warming is conclusively established by these reports of the IPCC. So that is where the significance of this organization lies And that is where the importance of these reports lie. So every year when countries get together at the Conference of Parties under the Climate Change Convention, the data, the assessments of these reports is vital in deciding the future course of climate action. In fact, under the Paris Agreement, which is the climate change agreement that we have, there is a review process which has been provided. As per the goals laid out under the Paris Agreement, there is a review process which countries have agreed to, which is referred to as the global stocktake. They've agreed that every 5 years, they will review the progress of the world with regard to achieving their targets as declared under the Paris Agreement. So recently, the first global stocktake report was published last year in 2023. This global stocktake is based on IPCC assessments. Because under Paris Agreement, which was brought out in 2015, which is the current climate agreement framework which is being implemented, countries agreed that by the end of the century, by 2100, we will try to limit the global rise in temperatures to under 2 degrees Celsius and if possible to under 1.5 degrees Celsius as compared to pre-industrial levels. This is the climate action target laid down under the Paris Agreement, and it encourages countries to declare their voluntary contributions known as NDCs. Under the Paris Agreement, countries declare their own voluntary contributions known as nationally determined contributions, be it reduction of emissions, afforestation measures, carbon sequestration measures. They are all voluntarily disclosed by a country and they set a target for themselves. So India also has set very ambitious targets to switch to renewable energy, to reduce our emissions intensity, and even to reduce deforestation and promote afforestation. So these targets are voluntarily declared by the member countries, which are known as nationally determined contributions. So the goal that the world has set for itself is to achieve a limit to the rise in temperature, to keep it under 2 degrees Celsius by the end of the century, and if possible, a more ambitious target to keep the rise in temperature under 1.5 degrees Celsius. Because beyond this, we are going to witness irreversible climate change. Once we breach this limit, we are going to witness extreme weather events. In fact, the current assessment report of IPCC already shows that we have touched the mark of 1.1 to 1.3 degrees Celsius with regard to the rise in average temperatures compared to pre-industrial levels. So we are already very close to breaching the 1.5 degree Celsius target. So anything beyond this could have detrimental impact on weather systems, on environmental processes, and we are already witnessing more frequent and more intense extreme weather events, which leads to more disasters like heat waves, forest fires, cyclones, etc. So the assessment of IPCC is critical in our understanding of these dynamics. It brings out that scientific data, the scientific assessment, which is needed to understand global warming and what measures are needed to achieve the Paris goals. So in fact, the climate change negotiation relies heavily on the findings of the IPCC. As I mentioned, the global stocktake, which was recently brought out, and the second global stocktake, which is coming up in the next 5 years, they will rely heavily on the findings of the IPCC. So that is where the importance of this organization lies. In fact, just last month, IPCC has started preparing for its 7th assessment cycle. Now that the 6th assessment cycle is completed and the 3 reports of the working groups have been published, it has already started the process of the 7th assessment cycle, and the first meeting took place in Turkey last month in January 2024. So the Bureau of IPCC has been reconstituted. A fresh batch of scientists and researchers have been nominated by the member countries and a new bureau has been constituted, and most likely IPCC will come out with its 7th assessment reports by 2028, in another 4 to 5 years. Because the goal is to have this report before 2028, at least by 2027, because this would form the basis for the second global stocktake under the Paris Agreement. Recently, the first global stocktake was completed in 2022, The global stocktake was completed, and in 2023 it was published. Just a few months ago, the first ever global stocktake under Paris Agreement, which provides for a review of our progress, was published just last year. And the first global stocktake has very alarming reports that we are unlikely to meet the targets. We are unlikely to keep the rising temperatures under 1.5 degrees Celsius. And most probably we are going to witness irreversible climate change post 2050 itself. We are already looking at the breach of 1.3 to 1.5 degrees Celsius in the coming decades. So first global stocktake has already presented an alarming picture, and in the next cycle, in the next review cycle which comes up in the next 5 years in 2028, the second global stocktake which will be published is expected to rely heavily on IPCC data, which will be published under assessment report number 7, under the 7th assessment cycle. So countries have urged IPCC to finish the 7th assessment cycle at least by 2027, so that this could form the basis for the second review under Paris Agreement, the second global stocktake under the Paris Agreement. So that is the cycle that we are looking at. But if you ask me, what will this report bring out? What will the 7th assessment cycle produce? The most important aspect that we are looking for is the guidelines with regard to adaptation. Because climate change will be a reality in the coming years. We are already living through a series of extreme weather events. This is only likely to increase in the coming years. So going forward, the most important outcome from IPCC report would be adaptation guidelines. How do we adapt to changing climate? How can we help communities to adapt and reduce the impact of these extreme weather events? That is the primary outcome that countries are looking for, along with reduction of emissions and a path towards clean energy and a clean transition towards green energy. So this is something that IPCC is expected to bring out in the next 4 to 5 years. But to be honest, this is a very short time frame which is being provided. Because as I told you earlier, each assessment cycle of IPCC takes anywhere between 6 to 8 years. So now some countries are pressurizing the bureau, the IPCC bureau, to bring out the next assessment report by 2027, which is hardly in 4 or sometime maybe in 4 to 5 years. So this could put a lot of constraint on the researchers, the scientists. This could lead to compromise of the data, the quality of the content which is brought out in these reports. So other countries don't want to put that kind of pressure on IPCC because they want a scientifically valid report to come out, a thorough assessment to come out, because these inputs can be crucial for us in planning for adaptation and mitigation. These measures, these guidelines could help us tackle the vulnerability. It could help us make our communities more resilient to withstand the impact of disasters and climate-related events. So that is why IPCC requires a full cycle of at least 6 to 8 years to come out with well thought out and well published reports. But some countries are insisting that the report should be ready before the second global stocktake. They want the global stocktake to be done by 2028. That is a commitment under Paris Agreement. Right? Paris Agreement provides for mandatory 5-year review. So recently the first review is done. It was completed in 2022 and published in 2023. Now countries are preparing for the second review under Paris Agreement, the second global stocktake. So they want this second global stocktake to be based on IPCC's 7th assessment report. But given that the time frame is very short, there are a lot of constraints on the IPCC, and there is a concern that this pressure could compromise the data, the quality of the assessment. So that is why other countries are pushing back, and they want to provide IPCC enough time to bring out quality reports and assessment that could help us in our adaptation and mitigation efforts. So this is the importance of this intergovernmental panel. So there could be a prelims question on IPCC, and you can even expect a mains question under GS paper 3. UPSC might ask you, what is IPCC? What is its role? What is the significance of its assessment reports? What were the findings of the latest assessment cycle. So such basic questions can be expected, and that's why I feel it's a very, very important topic. Now, before I proceed to the next article, please take a look at the free special classes that we have for today. Today, I'll be taking up a security related topic. I'll focus on ransomwares, which is a very important topic under cybersecurity. Plus, we also have 2 history sessions by Abhishek sir at 12 p.m. and 5 p.m. So do catch these sessions live on the Unacademy app. They will be available recorded as well, and the links for these sessions are provided in the video description. Let's look at the next article from page number 6. I feel this column is very, very interesting. See, recently we had a couple of discussions on artificial intelligence. We spoke about the ethics of AI, the possible misuse of AI technology, especially deep fakes, and how voice synthesizers can be misused, particularly to harm creativity, to harm intellectual property rights, and what is the potential of deep fakes to be misused to create security problems. So all these issues we had covered recently. But this column over here, which also deals with AI technology, it is examining another aspect, another disruptive element of AI, which is its impact on the concept of meritocracy. The question the writer is raising is that, how will AI technologies impact meritocracy in the future? We all know that the current system that we have created, be it the education system, the labor market, the employment sector, right? We have built this upon a so-called fair system, a fair and equal system, which we refer to as a merit-based system, or the concept of meritocracy. So what do you mean by a merit-based system? Merit-based system basically relies upon a uniform test, and a test of one's talent, effort, and skills. So in such a uniform system, where every candidate is put through a uniform testing process, where they are tested with regard to their basic skills, their conceptual understanding, their basic knowledge and talent, of course, along with their hard work and hard effort, right? This uniform system of allowing students, candidates to compete with each other, or employees to compete with each other, right? And allowing the best to emerge at the top, right? That is the concept of meritocracy, the system of merit-based rewards, right? This is very well depicted over here in this image. In fact, this very exam that you're preparing for, the UPSC Civil Services examination, in itself is a merit-based system. It's based on the concept of meritocracy. The ones who put in the hard effort for 1.5 to 2 years, the ones who are able to complete the syllabus, revise all the topics again and again, the ones who are able to thoroughly finish current affairs and link them with the static part, the ones who are able to take up enough practice tests and revise and practice answer writing, they are the ones who are going to clear this exam, right? I think that is something all UPSC aspirants will agree upon. So any merit-based test like the civil services examination is essentially a uniform test, right, built on the concept of merit. And the idea is that the most hardworking individual who's talented enough, who's skilled enough, who has built the required skills is going to succeed. They will be rewarded with the benefits. So this is something we follow across our education system, in the employment market as well, and in general across the society. So this seems to be a fair system, an equal system for everyone, correct? All of us agree that merit-based system is the best option that we have to uplift ourselves socially. Let's say we belong to an underprivileged community, or we belong to the weaker classes. The only way you can uplift yourself and you can achieve social mobility to move up the social ladder is through merit, through hard work, through talent, through skills. And if the system rewards you with a good rank, with good marks, with a good job, right, you and your family will be socially uplifted. That is the whole concept based on which meritocracy has been designed. So we all think that this is a fair system. It's an equal system which is fair to everyone. But there are many thinkers who disagree with this. That is the interesting part about this column. There are many, many important social thinkers who have a critical view of meritocracy. So let's take a look at this. thinkers like Michael Young, a very popular British sociologist, he writes in his book, The Rise of Meritocracy. This was in 1958. He published the book in 1958. It is a satirical take on meritocracy. He presents a dystopian future, very similar to George Orwell's Animal Farm or 1984, which all deal with a dystopian future where there is authoritarian governments, where there is the rule of the elite, right? He talks about one such fictional dystopian future and he presents a satirical take on meritocracy. But the sociologist, Michael Young, he carefully presents the social impact of meritocracy and actually how meritocracy can perpetuate the social stratification. We all think that meritocracy is a fair system to test everyone and reward the most hardworking student, to reward the most talented individual. But in reality, if you take the social environmental conditions into account, the social stratification which exists, the biases, the divisions that exist in the society, it actually gets perpetuated in a merit-based system as well. Now, let's say, for example, in a particular given class, let's say class 10, all students are from the same social and economic background. They're all starting at an equal point. Then, obviously, merit-based system is perfect. It is fair. It is equal for everyone. It rewards the most talented, hardworking individual, right? But what if the students in this particular class, they don't come from the same social background, from the same economic background, right? It's like, if you look at a race, let's say there is a 100-meter race. If all athletes are starting from the same point, if all athletes have the same build, the physical build, if they have received the same amount of training support, right, and if they start at the same point, then merit-based system is absolutely fine. The winner, the first who emerges, right, the winner will take it all. So this is a fair system. But what if in this 100-meter race, there are athletes of different athletic build? What if in this race, there are athletes who come from a very poor background, who haven't received adequate training, who don't have the right equipment, the right shoes, right? So there is a level of unfairness at the beginning itself. So there is an element of subjectivity involved. So any equal race between them is going to benefit the privileged, the elite, the ones who have an advantage because of their social, economic and other circumstances. They will have an advantage over those coming from the underprivileged classes. So Michael Young says that meritocracy might seem fair. It might seem fair in a theoretical setup, but in reality, in the real world, it only perpetuates the existing social stratification. And he also argues that those who come on top, those who emerge on top in a merit-based system, they will feel entitled. They will feel privileged, whereas it will leave behind the ones who are at the bottom. Now take the civil services exam again. For example, every year, more than 1 million aspirants apply for the exam. At least 4 to 5 lakh aspirants appear in the prelims. And conservatively, I can tell you that at least 2 to 3 lakh students are preparing for this exam very seriously. They all come from different social backgrounds, different economic backgrounds, right? Now, if you look at Michael Young's critic, right, he's saying that existing social inequalities will get perpetuated and those who come out on top, they feel entitled, they feel privileged, and it leaves behind the rest. The rest will be left behind and they continue to feel inferior. The same would happen in any examination, including the civil services examination. The candidates who clear this exam eventually, let's say there are 1,000 odd vacancies, those 1,000 odd candidates get cleared. What about the rest who made it at least in the interview? Does it mean someone who was left out at the interview stage, does it mean that that candidate was not fit enough to be a civil servant? Right? Of course, they would have their own merit-based factors, right? But in a process that is purely based on marks, purely based on measurement of skills and hard work, the existing inequalities and existing divisions in the society could give an edge, could give a slight advantage to someone who is already privileged. Right? So let's say All India rank 1 and someone who's at, let's say, 2000 position who got left out at the interview. there won't be much of a difference between the two with regard to their hard work, their skill and talent. Yes, this is a fair option or still a fair system available to decide the best of the best. But what the writers are saying is that, the thinkers are opining is that any meritocracy-based system has its own flaws, its own drawbacks. We also have Michael Sandel, another popular thinker, who agrees with Michael Young. He says that meritocracy is inherently divisive in nature. It divides the society, increasing social divisions, and it erodes social cohesion. Because those who come out on top, they feel entitled, they feel privileged, whereas it breeds resentment amongst the ones who lost out. Those who couldn't clear an exam, those who couldn't rise up the social ladder, the economic ladder, they feel left behind by the system. They will hold a grudge, a resentment against the system itself, against the state itself, which could further aggravate social tensions as well, which is a very valid point raised by Michael Sandel. Critical theorists, on the other hand, from the Frankfurt School of Thought, they also agree with the assessment. They say that meritocracy simply deepens existing divides and inequalities. People of certain religions, certain ethnicities, certain races, certain classes, they could benefit from a meritocracy system, whereas not everyone from the weaker classes could get the same benefit. Yes, it rewards hard work, it rewards talent, no doubt about it. Maybe some people from lower classes will also rise up the social ladder, but the chances are very less as compared to those coming from privileged, entitled classes. So that has been a core critic against the principle or the concept of meritocracy. Michael Sandel, along with critical theorists, they all agree that it might look like a fair system, a neutral system, the best equal opportunity for everyone. But in reality, it is only perpetuating the existing divisions and the biases that are already present in the society. We also have post-structuralists who challenge the notion of merit itself. The post-structuralists, they argue that merit is nothing but a reflection of bias. Those who are in power determine what will be a merit-based system. Now, how will you decide who clears an exam or not? How will you decide a particular cutoff? How will you decide the number of vacancies? How will you decide the structure of the examination? This is all left to those who are in power, right? And those who are in power tend to favor their own classes. This is an underlying argument that post-structuralists also raise to criticize the meritocracy system, at least to highlight the drawbacks of a merit-based system. So what the article is trying to say is that the merit-based system may not be as fair as it appears to be. Of course, in the current setup, a merit-based system is the only option that we have to judge candidates, to judge students and aspirants. But there are inherent flaws attached with it. We can't assume that a merit-based system is completely fair and equal to everyone. It's not. There are persisting social divides, inequalities, divisions, which are getting reflected in the merit-based system as well. It could be in an examination, it could be in employment, right? It could be in general economic opportunities available in a society. So just the assumption that merit-based system is good, fair and equal is not entirely correct. It might be the best option out of all the worst options available. It might be one best option out of the other worst cases. But still, in a merit-based system, there are inherent drawbacks. As thinkers have pointed out, it could perpetuate the existing inequalities. It could reinforce the existing biases, and it is usually designed to favor the powerful, the rich, the privileged classes. Now, how is all this related to AI? I'll come to it. That is the interesting point. There is another thinker, Adrian Woolbridge. He talks about meritocracy in his book, The Aristocracy of Talent. He says that those who succeed on the basis of merit, they are no doubt talented. Now, let's say you take a sporting event. Those who win a particular sporting event, be it cricket, be it an athletic event, those who win that event, definitely they are talented. They have put in hard work. There is a lot of effort. They would have shed their blood and sweat. There is no doubt about it. They are skilled. They are talented. But the very basis of merit could create a privileged class. The ones who succeed, be it in school, in college, in exams, or in jobs, or in general in the society, they will become the aristocrat class. They will become the entitled, the privileged, leaving behind the rest. So these critics argue that we should not be living in a race which is inherently unequal, but projected as an equal race. So I'm sure many of you would have experienced this in your schools, your colleges as well. Sometimes despite your hard work, despite being talented, you may not score good marks, you may not top the examination. So does that mean you're not worthy of being recognized in a merit-based system? Definitely no. That is exactly what the thinkers, the critics are pointing out. This creates an aristocratic class. It perpetuates the existing divisions and the biases and creates an unequal system in the guise of an equal system. It appears to be equal and fair. No doubt it is rewarding talent. But what about the rest who are getting left behind? Right? Life is not a sport at the end of the day. Sporting events might be different. It might even be an incorrect comparison. But life is different. You can't compare exams or jobs or opportunities in the economy with a sporting event. In sporting events, yes, only the talented should come at the top. But in the school, shouldn't all students deserve to rise up the ranks? Shouldn't all candidates deserve well-paying jobs? Of course, depending on their skills, depending on their hard work. But shouldn't everyone get an equal opportunity to rise up the social ladder? Irrespective of which caste they belong to, their religion they belong to, or the region they belong to. Shouldn't they get an opportunity to rise up? That is the question these thinkers have raised. And this is where the topic of AI comes into picture. Now, please look at this image. It's a very interesting, quite hilarious, and very relevant cartoon, a very popular cartoon as well, depicting the meritocracy system. It depicts the education system in general. Of course, it's not just a negative take on it. It's just one of the critiques on a merit-based education system. It's like asking different animals to climb the same tree. Supporters of meritocracy, the ones who back meritocracy system, they might argue, how can you say this is unfair system? Everybody is asking to be done the same task. Everybody has been asked to climb the same tree, right? But they're not looking at the fact that the contestants, the participants might come with different shortcomings of their own. They might come with different abilities, different skills, different talents, which may not help them climb a tree. The test is fair. Nobody is questioning that. The test to climb a tree is fair. It's equal for everyone. But what about the skills, the capabilities, and the talent of the contestants, the aspirants, right? That has never been taken into account. So that is one of the major drawbacks of the system of meritocracy. So this is where AI technology could further increase the divisions. There is a major risk associated with artificial intelligence. As we know, AI is a disruptive technology. Its disruptive nature could further widen the divisions created by a meritocracy system. That is the core point being made by the writer. The reason why I'm discussing this in detail along with the theories and the thinkers' ideas is because this is a possible essay topic. Given the prevalence of AI technology and how AI tools are driving fourth stage of the industrial revolution, UPSC could definitely ask an entire essay on how AI could disrupt our societies. We have discussed the security challenges, ethical challenges in previous sessions, but here we are looking at a social disruption caused by AI tools. These divisions that exist in a merit-based system, these divisions could be further aggravated by the adoption of AI technology. That is what the writer is talking about. He presents 6 very important points to justify his argument. He says that, point number 1, AI tools are non-human entities, right? They are built on machine learning algorithms. They can think, they can create content, they can bring out new creations. So this raises one important question. Does it undermine human creativity? Take, for example, a content creator. Content creators were highly in demand when the internet-based economy boomed a few years ago. But today, you don't need those content creators at all when AI tools can do this. ChatGPT, for example, can create a summary of the Hindu newspaper. Now, why should I hire an entire content team for that? So those people who are still talented, right, who can compete in a merit-based system, they could get left out. They may not get jobs because of AI tools. Only those who are at the top ranks with top percentages, they might still secure jobs, but those who are still talented, creative enough to contribute, they may not find enough jobs if non-human entities like AI tools take over. Right? Today, there are ultra-realistic, hyper-realistic paintings, images, videos being created by generative AI. So what will happen to the creative human beings who have the genuine skills to bring out new art? But if AI tools can generate that, and if the market adopts that by claiming that this is a fair system, this could leave out an entire section of people, right? They could be left jobless. Essentially, the threat of AI replacing creative jobs, not just routine tasks, but even creative jobs, is a very real risk. Initial argument in favor of AI was that AI creates opportunities as well. There's no doubt AI creates opportunities, but at the same time, it takes away opportunities as well. Not just routine tasks can be replaced, even creative tasks can be replaced today. Next, those who will actually benefit from AI are the ones who have access to technology, the ones who know how to use computers, the ones who know how to code, the ones who know how to develop and work with AI tools. Maybe you and me can use ChatGPT. Can a rural farmer use ChatGPT? That is the question. Can a student from a rural area access online AI tools? This is a divide we saw even during the pandemic when online education boomed around the world. Those from cities, those from privileged classes, they conveniently switched to online form of learning. They had mobile phones, laptops, internet connections, etc. Those from rural areas, underprivileged classes, they never even had a basic mobile phone. They never even had 2G connections, right? So this limited access to education for almost 1.5 to 2 years. So imagine what will happen with AI. Given the unequal access, the digital access that is there, right? So this could further widen the divisions even if you have a merit-based system. Then the data which is used to train the AI algorithms. I hope you know that AI algorithms are trained on historical data, be it generative text-based AI tools like ChatGPT, or image or video generation tools, or other automated self-learning algorithms. They all learn from historical data which is fed into the algorithm. The problem is this data is coming from the real world, and this data is already corrupted with existing inequalities. The existing biases against minority religions, minority races, minority ethnicities, it is already getting logged into our data, and if this data is training AI algorithms, it will only perpetuate the existing biases. Let me give you an example. One important application of AI technology which has already been deployed around the world is facial recognition technology. It is primarily used by police, law enforcement, and intelligence agencies. These facial recognition tools, they primarily work on AI-based algorithms. Right? Today, our phones or our social media apps, they are all equipped with facial recognition tools as well. Right? Studies have clearly established that these facial recognition tools have an inherent bias, especially when it comes to security, law enforcement, to pick out those from minority groups as compared to those from majority groups. In the United States, for example, right, studies have been done to show that AI tools will show someone from the black community, or African Americans, or immigrants, or Muslims as possible suspects as compared to a white person or someone from the majority class. There are historical reports of the last 1 decade which shows that AI tools have inculcated the gender biases in the society, where the tools are likely to discriminate against women as compared to men. Essentially, the existing social biases have been fed into the system as well because they are trained by historical data. All the data we generate, right, which is harvested, which is used to train AI algorithms, they come from us, they come from the real world. So if the data itself is corrupted with the biases, the social biases, that only gets perpetuated, it gets translated into the AI tools as well. So that is the fear. And the ability of AI tools to predict this could impact jobs on a massive scale. We are not just talking about routine tasks, let's say data entry or basic accounting, basic content creation. These are routine tasks which get replaced. That is something which is already known. It's not just routine tasks. Even high-skilled tasks can be replaced by AI predictability. For example, today there are AI tools which can predict cancer in the next 3 to 5 years, right? Which otherwise would have been predicted by a specialist doctor maybe 2-3 years down the line. Basically, through this technology, through this diagnostic technology driven by AI, a highly skilled doctor might lose his job. The doctor will have no role to play because the AI tool would have already predicted the possibility of cancer 3 to 5 years before, whereas the doctor would have done it maybe 2-3 years down the line. So essentially, many high-skill roles will also become redundant. Doctors, teachers, lawyers, where we think AI tools can't replace us, they potentially can replace high-skilled jobs, right? When this happens, where will the high-skilled, high-talented people go? They will start taking the low-skilled jobs. And whom will they replace? They will replace the weaker sections, right? Let's say a doctor, a finance manager, lawyer, or a teacher, or a software engineer start losing jobs because of AI tools, AI's ability to predict. Those who lose the high-skilled jobs, they will end up occupying the middle and lower level jobs, right? Because they have better talent, better skills. No doubt, merit system is rewarding them. But what about those who are actually getting those jobs despite falling out in the merit-based system? They will be pushed out. The ones who are losing in the merit race, right, they will be pushed out from the labor market as well. They will be the ones who will be losing jobs eventually. For a doctor, let's say it might be a downgrade. For an engineer, it might be a downgrade. They might get a low-paying job, but at least they have a job. They have some kind of financial security. But since they replace the other talent at the lower and mid levels, those who lost those jobs, right, at the routine jobs that they had, they will not get any other opportunity later. So that is a very serious and a very possible risk. And moreover, these algorithms are opaque. The source code is highly opaque, tightly controlled by few tech companies. Tech giants like OpenAI, Microsoft, Google, Apple, right? The FANG giants that are there, right? They control most of the opaque algorithms. These are highly opaque. There's no transparency in how AI tools are being developed, and there is complete data hegemony. It's already being said that one who controls data will control the future. Be it a country or be it a company which owns massive quantities of reliable data, they will control the future. Data is the new oil. Data is the new gold. So this is clearly skewed against the smaller players and the weaker sections. So countries which are weak, underdeveloped countries, poor countries, even developing nations, they stand to lose out compared to developed nations. Big companies will gain as they control data. They have almost monopolistic control on data, whereas the small startups might be pushed out of the competition. So this will always end up benefiting the privileged, the entitled, and those who come out on top in a so-called merit race. And those who are left behind, they will be pushed down even further. So even though merit-based system is the only viable option we have, it has inherent drawbacks, and AI being a disruptive technology, it's going to further increase these divisions. That is what the author is talking about. So what can we do? What's the way forward? Does it mean we shouldn't use AI at all? Does that mean we should stop the merit-based system and switch to some other form of system? No, definitely no. That's not the answer. We need to encourage more debate about the impact of technology on society, the impact of a merit-based system on social structures. This should be incorporated into policy making, into law making, and into the development of the technology itself. That is what should be done. Of course, AI has many positive advantages. It raises many possibilities to transform the economy and society. What we discussed was just one side of the argument, the drawbacks. There are many positive applications as well. In a merit-based system, as I told you, it's the best available fair system for us to decide who's best, right, compared to all the other worst options that we have. So it doesn't mean merit-based system should be replaced. We can fine-tune this. We can make this better by uplifting the weaker classes. Right? For example, you would have studied about the policy of reservation, the policy of affirmative action. Reservation is provided to those sections of the society who are underprivileged, who are socially backward, educationally backward, economically backward. this uplifts the weaker sections, puts them on an equal footing as that of the privileged class. That gives an equal opportunity even in a merit-based system, right? So that is where reservation plays a role, or quota-based system plays a role. Similarly, there should be debates related to AI technology, its disruptive potential, how it can further disrupt meritocracy, how it can further perpetuate social divisions, increase the divide between the privileged and the underprivileged. If those debates are held within governments at the global level, within tech companies, when they are developing these algorithms, and if enough checks and balances are introduced, then we can just use the potential of AI while tackling the challenges and drawbacks. So that is the way forward. Now coming to another article on page 7, this is related to the data point section, where Hindu relies on data-based representation of certain crucial topics and issues. Here the Hindu is relying on electorate data from India, and it is presenting the wide divisions and discrepancies that are there in the country with regard to our voter distribution. See, in the Indian Constitution, if you look at how the system has been set up, the election system, it talks about proportional representation, where from every constituency, be it a MLA or MP constituency, roughly there should be the same number of voters who are electing a representative, either to the state assembly or to the parliament, so that there is a fair division of power. It maintains a federal balance between the center and the state, right? It will also provide for fair division of taxes, the devolution of taxes, right? So that kind of balance is provided in the constitution. But however, India's population trajectory is such that there are few states which are overpopulated, which have maintained high fertility rates. There are many states which have kept the fertility rates under check, brought it down below the total fertility rate, the replacement level fertility, and they are achieving population reduction. So this huge discrepancy in population numbers of different states is creating discrepancies in the electorate distribution as well, according to these pictures. This image here is actually very intuitive. It tells you how vibrant India's democracy is. This image is fitting different countries, right, and trying to match with the equivalent population of different states. For example, if you look at the Tamil Nadu electorate, the number of people eligible for voting in Tamil Nadu, in just one state, that is Tamil Nadu, the voting population is nearly equal to the voting population in the whole country of Turkey. Similarly, the electorate of Madhya Pradesh can be compared with the whole electorate population of Egypt. So like this, multiple countries fit into India. Each state is a country of its own. If you look at the voter distribution from Jammu and Kashmir to Andaman Nicobar to Northeast India to South India, the population is so huge, it is so varied that almost every state compares to the population of an entire country. Multiple such countries can be fit into India to make up this largest electorate in the world, which makes us the largest democracy in the world. But however, there are major variations in the population level. If you look at states like UP or even Bihar, Rajasthan, which report very high population levels, high fertility rates, right? They stand out. They have more number of voters electing each MP in a constituency compared to the other states in South India and Eastern India. There is a huge difference in the population which is electing a representative in a given constituency. For example, in certain constituencies in UP, Karnataka, Telangana, there are 2.5 to 3 million voters electing one MP per seat. There are constituencies where the number of voters in that constituency is less than 1 million. 8 to 12 lakh population is electing one MP. So look at the regional variation, the state to state variation, which of course has an impact on India's electoral future, on the federal future of India as well. So now there is a possible delimitation exercise which might be taken up very soon, because until 2026, delimitation was frozen to achieve population stabilization, to ensure that roughly across the country there is population stabilization where we achieve replacement level fertility and thus provide proportionate equal representation for every constituency across the country. irrespective of a constituency being in Uttar Pradesh or in Karnataka or in Kerala, roughly each constituency should have the same number of electorate or the same number of voters. But this seems to be very unlikely right now, given the variation in our population. If, let's say, with the current Lok Sabha seats at 543, if delimitation were to be done, then states like UP are going to gain 11 seats. UP already plays a disproportionate role in national politics with 80 Lok Sabha seats. This could go up to 91 as per projections. But for states like Karnataka, Punjab, Kerala, they might lose a number of seats. They might lose anywhere between 2 to 8 seats, which weakens their representation in the parliament. This could even impact the devolution of funds, with larger states, large populated states cornering most of the funds, leaving behind very little for other states which are contributing more to the country's GDP. Right? So it's on this basis that many states have started opposing the tax devolution. Kerala, Karnataka and many others, they have opposed the unequal, unfair tax devolution that is being provided. Right? Plus, they are concerned about the possible delimitation exercise, which will redraw the boundaries of our constituencies post 2026. And we are looking at a scenario where certain states will benefit because of their larger population size. They might get more seats, more representation, increasing their political power while undermining other states which have actually worked towards population control. Now, let's say the number of seats are increased to 800 plus. There are reports that the new parliament, which accounts for a further expansion of Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, it has been designed to by keeping in mind the population expansion and the possible delimitation that's going to be done in the coming future. So if the number of parliamentary seats are increased to, let's say, 800 and above, even in that case, larger states like UP and Bihar will benefit significantly. They are going to gain anywhere between 39 to 63 seats, whereas others will gain just a few seats in the single digits. Meaning some states will have a larger representation in the parliament, increasing their political power, their economic leverage on the center, whereas it could leave behind the other well-performing states which have a smaller population. So these are the variances that you find, the varied population distribution that you find across states that defines the Indian electorate. So it's a very interesting insight to gain as far as the mains examination is concerned. You don't have to mug up any data, you don't have to by heart these numbers. It's just about watching these trends and how it could impact our elections, our tax devolution, etc. That's knowledge, that concept is more than enough. Now coming to the last section, the prelim section for today, we will quickly take a look at the smaller articles. On page number 9, we have another article related to AI technology. OpenAI, which revolutionized the world by bringing out ChatGPT a few years ago, it has introduced another generative AI tool called Sora. If ChatGPT was generating text primarily, ChatGPT will take prompts from the user and it generates text-based content. For example, it can create a description for a YouTube video, right? It can suggest you a travel itinerary for a vacation or a trip, right? So ChatGPT was primarily text-based. It can write a piece of code which can replace a software engineer, right? So that is why ChatGPT was seen as a revolutionary breakthrough. It was a generative AI tool. Now the same company owned by Microsoft has come out with another generative AI tool called Sora. Now this tool can generate videos based on text prompts. If you give a text prompt, a AI created video will be generated. Let's say I give a prompt saying I want the image of a cat eating ice cream, right? I want a video of, let's say, a cricket match in a particular stadium. So this AI tool can actually create hyper realistic, ultra realistic visuals, which looks like a genuine, originally created organic video. It is that good. So OpenAI has launched this tool, Sora, and this again raises the same questions and concerns. Of course, it creates many opportunities as well. With Sora, you can create brand new organic videos. It could be a boon for content creators, right? It could help the media, the gaming industry, the movie industry. At the same time, there are many risks. It could affect those who are involved in these industries, from cameramen to script writers to editors, right? They could all face the possible risk of losing jobs down the line, right? Or at least getting replaced in some way because of tools like Sora, right? AI in general is disruptive. It raises many opportunities. At the same time, it brings up many risks and concerns. Again, the risk of deep fake will come up with technologies like Sora. What if the video is so realistic that it looks true, good, or it looks very authentic? You already see social media flooded with AI created videos. There are many other tools which also create videos already, but Sora is one level above. It can create very ultra realistic visuals which looks very, very authentic. It's very hard to distinguish what's real, what's fake. So this can be easily used to spread fake news, to carry out propaganda, right, to disrupt elections, to instigate riots. So the possibilities are endless, and the security risks also come up with it. So that's why you should know what is Sora. There could be a basic standard question. You should know the names of popular AI tools, from ChatGPT to Google's Gemini, Bard, similarly Sora. You should know the names and what exactly do they do. Just a basic knowledge about that. Next, on page 12, we have an article according to which India is stepping up its security preparedness towards the northeastern sector, primarily towards the Chinese border. Ever since the latest border clashes, India has been stepping up its military modernization, and particularly towards the Arunachal border, right? The Indian Army and along with Indian Air Force, they have been deploying the latest assets to keep India prepared for any eventual conflict with China. Given the disputed nature of our border, right, India has been very quickly modernizing its military forces over the last 20 to 25 years, starting from the Vajpayee administration to the Manmohan Singh government to the current Modi government. The last 20-25 years has seen a phenomenal transformation in India's military preparedness against China, be it creation of border infrastructure, procurement of advanced military hardware from other countries. That is something India has been doing quite proactively. And this article is talking about two specific military equipment that we are deploying towards Arunachal border. One is the Chinook helicopters that India has procured from the US. The Chinook is a heavy lift, multi-role helicopter. You might have seen a helicopter with twin rotors, an elongated helicopter with twin rotors. So that is a Chinook. So India has procured this from Boeing. It's developed and designed by Boeing of United States. And we have procured Chinook helicopters both for Indian Army and the Indian Air Force. These helicopters can deploy troops to the front line. They can carry equipment. They can play a critical role in evacuation during war, during disasters, etc. And the best part is that they can carry heavy equipment, including artillery guns. It has a significant airlift capability, and under its fuselage, it can carry an entire jeep or a artillery gun tied under its belly and deploy them within hours right up to the forward lines. India has procured an ultra-light artillery gun called the M777 Howitzer. Can you see this gun here? Right, this artillery gun, India has procured this from the US again. The M777 is of British origin, but it's further developed and produced in the US. So as a result of growing India-US defense relations, we have procured the M777 ultralight howitzer guns, which are very useful in border clashes. So these artillery guns can be quickly deployed even in remote forested areas, high altitude Himalayan terrain by using a Chinook helicopter. So these assets are being deployed towards the Arunachal border and towards northeast India, according to this article, to improve India's preparedness against China. Next, on page 14, we have an article that mentions a particular place which is in news and a rebel group which is in news. So such basic topics of current affairs from Africa could be asked as a question. The article is referring to the DRC, the Democratic Republic of Congo. In DRC, there is a civil war going on for many years. So UPSC tends to focus on few conflict-hit African countries. We have got many map-based questions, geography-based or places in news questions. So you should know where DRC is located. You should know the neighboring countries. Please take a look. Look at the map that I have shared. You'll get to know which are the neighboring countries of DRC. It's located in Central Africa. And according to the article, the US has condemned the violence by the rebel groups in Democratic Republic of Congo. So here there is a rebel group called the M23 rebels. They are the ones leading a civil war in the country, challenging the authoritarian government in DRC. And they have captured a large territory as well over here, along the borders with Uganda, Tanzania, right? In parts of these border areas, this rebel group called M23 rebels, they have captured some territory as well. And there is a long-standing conflict going on between the rebels and the military forces and other armed groups. So it's an extremely violent hit country where there has been large-scale human rights violations. And so UPSC might ask you, the M23 rebels are known to operate in which country? Answer is DRC, Democratic Republic of Congo. Now the last article, again, a geography-based article, places in news type of article. According to the article, Russia has claimed to have captured a strategic town called Adiivka in eastern Ukraine. This was a long-standing battle. Both Russia and Ukraine were fighting over this important town, Adiivka, which is located in eastern Ukraine. After almost 1 year of suffering setbacks, this is the first major advancement Russia has seen after the Battle of Bakhmut in May 2023. These are two important locations that Russia has claimed to have captured in the last few months, and this gives a significant advantage to Russia, and especially before the Russian elections, where Biden is contesting another term. This could further boost his popularity. So please take a look at the map. This is where the city of Adiivka is located in eastern Ukraine, right? It is to the south of Kharkiv. Kharkiv is a major city in eastern Ukraine where thousands of Indian students were stuck, medical students. Right, when the war began, we carried out Operation Ganga to evacuate almost 20,000 Indians. Majority were medical students studying in Kharkiv. So just to the south of Kharkiv, along the Russian border, we have this city called Adiivka, which witnessed intense battle between Russia and Ukraine over the last few months. This battle hit global headlines as well. Now Russia has claimed to have captured Adiivka in a major battlefield victory. Last year, Russia registered a major victory at Bakhmut. It won the Battle of Bakhmut after a brutal conflict, and Bakhmut is also located along the same region. You can see here, right to the north of Adiivka, that is where Bakhmut is located. So two very important locations where brutal battles have been fought over the last 1 year, and Russia has claimed to have captured Adiivka as well, just like it captured Bakhmut last year. So please be familiar with the names, the locations, roughly where they are located. Again, there could be a map-based question, a geography or places in news question in your prelims. So this completes today's discussion. Now you can take a look at the mains practice questions. Both the questions are based on what we have discussed. I have specifically given one essay topic as well today with regard to the topic of meritocracy and how AI can disrupt meritocracy further. So please take up the mains practice question and the essay topic, use it for your answer writing practice. So this completes my discussion for today. I hope you guys have liked it. I hope you have understood everything that we have covered. If you found it interesting, do let me know in the comments. Do press the like button and don't forget to share the video with other aspirants. That is it for today. I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for watching. Have a good day.